I'm Adrian Saville. Thanks for joining me on our lockdown vlog. It's day 9 and it's Groundhog Day. What I mean by that is last weekend was Moody's, this weekend it's Fitch. And if you haven't been tuned into media, Fitch has downgraded us into double B with a negative. This takes us further into sub-investment grade, and Roy Mutoni says, well, why does this matter? Haley Prinsloo has also asked, why is cash so powerful in times of crisis, and will the rand ever recover? And then Sylvester Chowke retweets what I think must stand out as one of the articles of the week. This is Arundhati Roy's article from Financial Times. We'll come back to that. So first, Roy Mutoni says, if Fitch has put us into double B with a negative, why does it matter? Isn't junk junk? Well, Roy, yes, I guess it is. We're there now, but no, it isn't, because there are various grades of sub-investment. And to give you a global view on where we find ourselves, there was a time when South Africa hung out in green territory. This is the likes of South Korea, the Czech Republic, and Israel. In recent times and in the past week, we've found ourselves in yellow and now deep orange. This is Uzbekistan, Macedonia, Bolivia, Brazil. Hang on to your hats. But Roy, below this is the further, deeper sub-investment grade countries of Cuba, Congo, Iraq, Lebanon, and right at the bottom of this very deep credit rating pile, the likes of Venezuela. We want to do everything in our power and capability to find our way back into green territory. Haley Prinsloo says, is it unusual for cash to perform so well during times of crisis? And in response to that, the reason why cash does so well in times of crisis, it's not unusual at all, is because cash is knowable, it holds its face value, it gives you certainty, and it has immediate purchasing power. So all of the anxiety that tends to lurk in the system of financial crisis is pushed to the corners by cash, which gives you stability, certainty, knowability, and convertibility, as well as optionality. And that optionality includes the likes to buy distressed assets in times of crisis at very good prices. There's two big risks to cash. The first risk is inflation, which in the current circumstance is nowhere to be seen. And the second big risk is system failure, financial system failure or bank failure. What I mean by that is the prospect that you go to the bank and they say, well, you've got your money, we've got your money, but you can't have it. And we've seen that in other financial crises. You can think back to Cyprus. And both of those risks in South Africa, I'm going to argue to you, have been well managed, well contained, and mitigated, which makes cash a particularly powerful asset in this current environment. And that power is augmented by its optionality to convert into good investment ideas and great investment avenues at very depressed prices. We spoke about some of those yesterday. Haley also asks about the rand and how much of the depreciation in the rand is a result of the ratings agencies, and can the rand ever find its way back from 19 to the dollar? Some back of the envelope economics, 16 to the dollar, I think Moody's downgrade was in the rand. 18 rand to the dollar, the COVID crisis and the economic impact of lockdown is in the rand. 19 to the dollar, which is where we got to last night, I think that this was anticipating the Fitch announcement. It was ahead of the Fitch announcement. And so that's markets being a very good predictor. Now that we're at 19 to the dollar, I'm going to do something rather dangerous, and I'm going to make a pronouncement on fair value for the rand. Showing you a chart that Carl Ferreira has been working on in our investment team. And what Carl is modeling here is purchasing power parity. Purchasing power parity is your Big Mac index. It's what should it cost you if you convert your rand into some other currency? What is that basket of goods going to cost you? And the smooth line that you see running through this chart is purchasing power parity. It's the cost of taking rands into other markets and where you would find goods and services in those other markets affordable. The jagged line is the movement of the rand against the US dollar. And what you see at the moment with the rand sitting at 19 to the US dollar is the rand is substantially weak compared to its purchasing power parity. A way of putting this is if you were to travel almost anywhere in the world right now, certainly a US dollar destination, you're going to find that place very, very expensive. What would cause you to describe that place as fair value? Well, it would be if the rand retraced all the way back to 13 to the dollar purchasing power parity. Now that seems to be a rather grand statement to make, where in the space of 3 months, we've moved from 14 rand to the dollar to almost 20 to the dollar. And it's been on the back of COVID, on the back of downgrades, and the back of South Africa moving from low investment growth to deep negative investment growth. How on earth could the rand retrace this type of blowout? Well, first, just give some attention to the early 2000s, then the global financial crisis in 2008-9, and then Nenegate in 2015-16. In each of those instances, the rand blew out quite spectacularly and slowly retraced. Sure, South Africa was still investment grade, but what happened was uncertainty walked through the market, i.e. this too shall pass. And second, the certainty and stability that can be injected by policy narrative and policy action. So the requirement here is for South Africa to find its way back, or the rand to find its way back to 13 to the dollar. It's possible, but it'll require at least two things. The first is the uncertainty and anxiety to work through the system, and the second for us to get from policy talk into policy walk, to make Tito Mbowene's 77-pager not a work of art, but a work of reality. And then Sylvester Chauke retweets, Nick Spol retweets, Sasha Milne retweets. I think this is one of the greatest reads of the week, a superb article from Arundhati Roy in the weekend's Financial Times called "The Pandemic is a Portal." And to quote directly, "And in the midst of this terrible despair, the crisis offers us a chance to rethink the doomsday machine we have built for ourselves. Nothing could be worse than a return to normality. From this, we can choose to walk through the pandemic, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies. Or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world, ready to fight for it." So at the risk of being dramatic and poetic, I'm ready to fight for it. That's why I'm here, and I think that's why you're here too. And thank you for joining me. As always, I'm going to sign out with a stay safe, stay sane, stay home, keep sharing, keep sending. See you tomorrow. Tash is with me. And between now and then, if you've got nothing to do, please go and visit the Canon Twitter feed or LinkedIn stream, where you'll find our weekend reading, some superb articles, everything from preparing for the unknown to the world after coronavirus. See you tomorrow.